Welcome to our line panelists this week. Hello to Serge Martinez. He's a professor at the University of New Mexico Law School. Next, we have attorney Sophie Martin. And it's always good to see attorney and former state representative Justine Fox-Young as well. Thank you all for being here. Now, the state legislature wrapped up a quick special session just a couple days ago addressing inflation. The legislature's solution, $500 tax rebates to individual filers and $1,000 to married couples filing jointly. Now, half the cash will go up by the end of June, the rest in August. And tax filers would get the money automatically if you in your deposit if you do it electronically. Now, was getting through this special session smoothly and accomplishing this a success, both for Democrat leadership and hopes for future bipartisanship? Justine, let me throw that to you first. What was your take on our 12-hour special?
It certainly was smooth and almost a non-event news-wise. I guess if you look at it in the larger context, going back to the lawsuit over the $1.6, $1.7 billion in federal stimulus, which is kind of the way I see it, which really changed the tone because, of course, the governor had plans for how all that money would be spent, and a group of Republican senators and former Democrat Jacob Candelaria thought differently. I think that really set the tone and changed the parameters for what the governor's office could do and set things up for how this money would be spent down the road. And so I guess it was a bipartisan move to everybody kind of saved face. I think the governor was able to mitigate against some of the bad press and some of the challenges that she had coming out of the regular session with allegations that, she was, her veto of the junior bill was political, et cetera. So I think it was all kind of muted and everybody comes out being able to declare victory. I don't really think I have a lot of optimism for bipartisanship going forwards, partly because I think the governor has tried, sort of in the vein of Bill Richardson-like maneuvers, to take control and be very dictatorial about the way these monies would be spent, both capital and money in the junior bill. And that didn't work. She had to step back and iron out a deal. And so I think it's a temporary sort of detente, and everybody comes out okay, but there's going to be another fight down the road.
I think you might be right. That's an interesting point there, Justine. Sophie, let me turn to you on that. It's not all settled. Let's put it that way, what Justine's getting to here. And so this idea of what makes a successful special session, what word can we put on this? It was 12 hours. There were no big surprises.
Well, I think it could be called successful from some perspectives. Sure. It could have been 4 days instead of one, and then that would have cost a heck of a lot more money. It could have been, as Justine intimated, it could have been a circumstance in which the legislature, including obviously the Democrats in the legislature, called it themselves. And, so the governor was able to save some face there and not having what would have at least appeared to be a full-on rebellion from her own members of her own party. And so that's successful. I think ultimately this will end up having been a little bit of a blip for the rank and file voter. Certainly within the political sphere, there's more to talk about here, but I think, is this going to have a big impact, for instance, on future elections? Probably not, because I think most communities or most citizens, et cetera, are going to say, but the money came through.
That's an interesting point. Good point there, too. Serge, looking a little bit deeper at the content of what was accomplished, is this adequate action when it comes to inflation? Or, are there better long-term solutions out there? $500 is great, $1,000 is great. What does it really mean at the end of the day?
Yeah, great question, Jimmy. Let me start by just saying the junior bill that got passed did have some funding for the law school that I will be happy to receive if the governor signs that. So just want to disclose that and say I thought that part was a great success. I think, $500, $1,000. For some families, it is going to be a huge deal, which is fantastic. And I'm a big fan of getting money to people with as few restrictions as possible, to allow them to spend it how they decide they need it. But in terms of tackling inflation, no, this is just a blip. This is just the merest waving at an effort to try to address it. Excuse me. And so to some extent is a little bit of, for show. I think a real solution would be to provide, real relief to folks in the form of, a longer, different plan to get more income into the hands of people who need it, more money, and to be able to really address the way that families and individuals are being hard hit by the current situation.
Serge, speaking of families, interesting little note here as well. It also included monies for undocumented immigrants who are, supporters say are also paying taxes and deserve the relief. Is that in a generally agreed, yes? And how about for you? Is that okay for you to have monies that way?
It's absolutely great for me. First of all, it's a bit of a myth that undocumented folks don't pay taxes, right? Many of them have money withheld from their wages all the time, every time they work, and they don't have any way to get at that because they're not able to access that system. But folks who don't file income tax returns still pay taxes in the form of sales taxes, their contributions to property taxes that are being paid. So it's a mistake to say these people are freeloading, right? And folks who don't earn enough money to pay taxes, that's the way a progressive tax system is supposed to work. And those are people who need help the most. So first and finally, where is this money going to go, right? We put this money into the hands of New Mexicans. Guess where it goes? Into New Mexico. This is a good thing. And I think it would have been a huge mistake to point fingers and say, we're giving out, a tax rebate or, money for you and you and you, but not for you because you're, just not right. This rising tide lifts all the boats, and all the boats in New Mexico need lifting right now.
If I could add one thing,
please,
if you don't mind. One thing that I wanted that really struck me though about the what Serge was just talking about with individuals who are undocumented who could access funds is that they are required to register for it, and that makes sense on some level. Like how does the state get the money to you if it doesn't know who you are and where you are? And at the same time, I do feel some concern that individuals who are living off the books, so to speak, may not wish to participate in that registration program, may not wish to notify the state who they are and where they are.
It's an issue here. It really is. And when there's not a lot of money to go around, people make interesting choices. Justine, again, I don't want to put you in the spot, always having to explain the Republican side of things, but I'm interested in this. There was only one Republican on the Senate side that was opposed to any of this, and not many on the House side either. And I hear your point a little bit earlier about it doesn't really bode anything for bipartisanship. Was this just a fact, I just need to get my money that I promised my constituents and get out of town? Was that basically what we're seeing here from Republicans as well?
Yeah, I can't speak for the caucus or for any individual members or for I don't even know what the Republican Party is anymore.
Fair enough.
To be frank, but I don't think there was anything terribly controversial. For the same reasons that Serge, supports. For many of the same reasons that Serge supports seeing the money go out to the public. I don't think that is a partisan issue at all. Even people who believe in limited government think that the funds are better in the hands of individuals to make choices about what they need the money for. And I, for one, am glad that pot of money wasn't spent on some large recurring program that is going to require, future funds from tax coffers. So I don't think it was terribly controversial. I do think people thought they would score political points by handing out stimulus money. And of course, virtually every special session, everything is kind of greased beforehand. So I don't.
Justine, what do you make about the idea of letting these payments out on the timing? Right around the primary in June 7th, and then the other checks coming around the general in November. Is that a political move? Why not just give all the money at once?
Yeah, it is.
I love that answer. Serge, what do you think? Too political for words, or timing is just right? What do you think?
It's clearly too political. There's no such thing anymore as too political for words. But
right.
This is not subtle. And, I'm okay with that in some cases, and this is one of them.
Sophie, there's been some talk out there that we could be, since we have so much money and potentially a lot of money coming in over the years, we could end up looking like Alaska at some point, where people end up getting checks annually from all this money. Could you ever imagine a scenario like that in New Mexico?
I mean, I can imagine it.
Yeah.
But those of us who have been here for some time know that our fortunes rise and fall. We've had some awfully lean years,
Yep.
and I think it would probably take a little while before this legislature was prepared to entertain something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Woohoo, money for everyone. Yeah, Alaska's program is really interesting, but
Right.
I don't think we're there yet. We do still have things we need to fund in this state, and that we need government to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine that would be part of the debate there too.
Mm-hmm. Exactly right. Well, thank you all for that discussion. We'll check back in with you in less than 10 minutes to talk about the successes and the issues that came in the first week of legal recreational cannabis sales in New Mexico. But first, an expert perspective on the plan to send $500 to each New Mexican.